Hi, my name is John Essig, and I'm the superintendent here at Emmanuel, and I'm excited to tell you an amazing God story. A God story is just simply telling God's story about His perspective of what He's doing in the life of our school here. And if you wind back the clock a little bit, you'll remember when the pandemic was in full bloom, schools were thinking, wow, we have to have one-to-one technology, and we were one of those schools. We anticipated this. We had a technology plan, put our stuff together, and got our quote in ahead of a lot of other schools who needed to buy Chromebooks. We went through all the right motions, and they were supposed to be shipped to us and received like early July 8th or so. They tell us that, well, there's a problem. Your Chromebooks are on a ship, and we've been telling you that. They're coming across the ocean. But the problem is that ship, when it came to port, didn't pass customs, and they turned that ship around and sent it back across the ocean. So on that ship was 750,000 Chromebooks. So it wasn't obviously just a problem for me, but it was a nationwide shortage. My rep for these Chromebooks that we purchased was in distress, and she knew that myself and a couple other schools were really in desperate need for the Chromebooks. Some people had older ones. We didn't have any, so without them we wouldn't make it through remote learning and all those challenges. And so she was so upset, she went to her boss and said, I quit. And he said, well, I need you. And she goes, I can't sell stuff that I can't deliver, and I just can't keep doing that. And he said, well, if you'll stay, I just had a big school that canceled an order. They had multiple orders in, and they canceled one, and I'll give you those Chromebooks if you'll work for me and not quit. And she said, okay. So then Maria calls me, and she says, I've got good news. Here's what happened. She explained that she had resigned and what her boss's offer was. And she said to me, she goes, now you're a Christian school, right? And I said, yep. She goes, well, I'm from the Philippines. And I'm like, oh, really? So, because I have some connections with family in the Philippines, and we talked about that a little bit. And she goes, Christianity was jammed down my throat, and I never bought into it. But I'm assuming you guys have been praying about this. And I'm like, absolutely. She goes, I see God working in this. And I'm like, that's amazing. So I'm excited about the fact that you have Chromebooks, but I'm just as excited about what God's doing in your life. And we talked on that level for a while, and it was a great conversation. And it was great to see how the Lord was working in her life, how she observed what God was doing here, and in turn God was working in her life. It was such a cool thing to see how the Lord provided. I had our third graders write 2 third grade classes, write notes to her, and she called me in tears, like it meant so much to her. And so, you know, you see how God has had plans for her for who knows how long, right? And He wove that in for us to receive our Chromebooks and for our third graders to write notes, and you just see all these things coming together as God's so good at doing. So, you know, the Chromebooks are some amazing technology. Now, you know, all technology is wonderful, but we couldn't imagine how we would have survived if we wouldn't have had this technology. Because of the remote learning requirements that were pushed upon us, we may not even continue to exist as a school. We found that others that were waiting for that ship to come in did not receive them. Now, I'm talking last summer when all these things happened, right? The following February, March, some districts had still not received their Chromebooks. God knew, and God took care of this for us, and He provided in a wonderful way for the school, for all of our students and families, and obviously for Maria too. So I just want to tell you this incredible God story and give praise and glory to Him.